edition of Knicks Fan TV. Ash, we got a real one with us, man. He's an NBA champion, NBA All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year, four-time All-Defense. And he played for these New York Knicks during the 2013-2014 season under the Mike Woodson Knicks tape era. Queensbridge finest in the building, Metta World Peace. Metta, how you doing today, man? Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, everything's good. You forgot the third team All NBA.
Third team All NBA. Put some
That was a
respect
big
on his
one.
name. Third team All NBA. Absolutely, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for Thank you for joining us. Let's kick it off with these Knicks. You know, they're surpassing expectations far and away. Right now, battling for the playoffs, 7th, 8th seed right now at 26 and 27. What's been your overall impressions of the team this year?
You know, I'm a Knicks fan, right from New York City, Queens, and wanted to be a Knick. I remember, when I was trying out for the Knicks coming out of the draft, I actually missed my first workout because I got drunk the night before. I think I would have been a Knick, but I knew for a fact as I was going for my training, I couldn't make it out the bed. I went to Flamingos.
You went to Flamingos in the city, and that was the thing. It was like, everybody for years and years and years, we've been down on the Knicks because they passed you and took Frederick Weiss. But you might have had a hand in that, man. You
Nah, I
missed the
definitely had a
workout.
hand in that. I definitely had a hand in that. But I think it was a good choice because I definitely would have been with my whole hood. Like every game, I would have had my hood and the goons and the G's. They all would have been with me every game. So if that's the case, I get it. I wasn't as corporate um, as I am now.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, bro. Like, did you feel like you would have been able to handle New York as a rookie, as opposed to coming here later on in your career? With everybody so
It
close to
definitely
home.
would have been. I would have been working hard because I went to St. John's because it's New York City. So I went to St. John's specifically because it's New York.
Yeah.
And I wanted to win a title. And when I get into grind mode, I grind like even when I was at St. John's, you'll catch me in Brooklyn in the hood shooting. Catch me in um, Queensbridge, raining by myself shooting. When it's time to put that work in, it was nothing stopping me. And I was playing basketball, so I still would have been in the hoods, like chilling with all the G's. But when it comes time to put that work in,
Putting it
when
in.
I'm on the court, I never allowed anyone to talk to me. It didn't even matter how gangster you was. When I'm on the court, do not talk to me. Don't come next to me. And it didn't matter who it was. And that's the work that I was putting in. So, but when I finished working, it's like, yo, all right, cool.
Time
Let's
to
just
turn up.
let's get it in. And I played everywhere. Gun Hill. I got championships in Gun Hill in the Bronx. I got championships in Gershwin, Brooklyn, Soul in the Hole, West Fourth, um, Elm Core, everywhere.
Yeah.
Watson.
And,
You know what I'm saying? It's just like that New York. But I'm really like for me, I got a different perspective on New York City. Like this is personal. And I tell people all the time when I talk about the Knicks, it's personal. Because I'm such a proud New Yorker and then being where we from, it's like basketball was an
it's
escape.
everything.
You know what I'm saying? So it's different. I got a different perspective of the Knicks, and it don't have nothing to do with the owners, the front office. It's the blood.
Yeah. It's the
My
fabric where
people
he came
really
from.
died on the court in New York City. People really got shot up. Like it's different. You know what I'm saying? When I'm talking about New York, and I take it too personal. Even when I got to New York, the Knicks, I wanted to win a championship so bad. And when I was there, I remember I had a big argument with J.R. Smith one time. But it was so personal. And that's probably a good reason why I'm not, it's a good reason why I probably was never a Knick. Because I still to this day want to see a championship. Like, it's personal.
Yeah. What
But
was the
I get so passionate about New York. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's why we here Knicks Fan TV, man, and happy to have you here, man. Just Knicks fans talking Knicks. When you got to the team in 2013, what was that day like? Who called you and how did you decide that you were going to sign?
It wasn't the welcome that I wanted because, like, being from New York City, you know, I was supposed to be a Knick. I went to St. John's, like, stayed loyal to the city. So it wasn't what I really wanted. Like, I wasn't as big and I was older and I was hurt at that time. I was still hurt, I had meniscus tear. And I was getting my knee drained like every week.
Damn.
It's horrible. But at the same time, it was the best feeling ever. And I always wanted to go to the game from my hood. So that day, my first game, I was in the projects, Queensbridge on Nas Block. And I went to one of my boys' crib and just took a nap there. And we got on a train. A couple people from the hood. We went right from the hood to the game on 34th Street. Things I always wanted to do that, and I always
Yeah.
wanted to go to the game in Game 7 on the train right from the hood with all the G's, and just go to the game and win the title, and go back to the hood and drink some Henny on the block. Like this is a dream of mine. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? This is I'm sorry, corporate New York, but this was a dream.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I want to see New York win, and
True.
um, I want to see other teams win too, like the Pacers, and I do want to see the Lakers win again. I love the Lakers. Teams I've played for, like the Sacramento Kings, but I really do want to see the Knicks win. Like I really do want to see them win the title, and I want the fans like have patience. That we all know Dolan running the show, right? So when we put so much pressure, we have one bad season or 10 bad games. Like I'm a basketball player. Patience, patience, fans, patience. If we have 3 bad seasons in a row, patience. Let's be easy, like, because we want the superstars to come to New York. You can't keep
Yeah.
forcing them out of New York City. Have patience.
Yeah,
So
that's a fact, man. That is definitely a fact. On the
yeah,
present day team, they're at the top of the league in defense. That was your calling card, your forte. They don't really have guys that would be known as lockdown defenders, but as a team, they certainly defend well. What do you feel like are some of those key elements to playing team defense that's making them successful this season?
well, the rules change in the NBA over the last couple of years, so it's a little bit easier to hide your inability to guard individually. And you see that more and more often. That's why people was arguing with Draymond saying you're not one of the best defenders ever, just because the rules changed. When we played, you had to be locked down individually. Now with the Knicks, they're big and strong. They're not 7 footers, but they're tall and big and strong for this day and age and today's NBA. So with that being said, if you athletic and you just follow the coach's instructions, you can literally be a lockdown team defense. And if you push the ball like the Knicks do, the best offense is the best defense too, vice versa. So the Knicks is just primed to be a really good team. I'm really happy with what they're doing.
You heard it here first, from your lips to God's ears. Hopefully the basketball gods heard that, because
Yeah.
I need a win and I need it bad. I need a champion.
Fact.
Absolutely, I agree with you. We all need it.
So let's talk Julius. Let's get into
Yeah, so
Julius.
listen, you're no stranger to Julius Randle. You have a little bit of history with him going back in 2016. He got a new hairdo. It's the Travis Scott meets the Emmanuel Quickly, if you will. But hair aside, what is the biggest difference you've noticed in him from when you played with him to what you're seeing now, the all-star version of Julius Randle?
Julius is my brother. I ain't gonna call him my little brother because he a man now with a baby and a wife. So he's my brother. And I remember when I first got with him with the Lakers, I remember him just moving too fast. And I remember him we played one on one like multiple times when I was towards the end of my career. And it was mostly like teaching sessions. I love Julius, and I think we had sessions at night too. Sometimes we would just get to the gym at night and just work. And my thing was, I actually learned a lot from Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson towards the end of my career. And then when I was about 32, I learned some things from Pau Gasol. But before that, I learned some things from Larry Bird and Chuck Person. So when I started to train people, given just it's not my stuff, it's just things I've learned and picked up. So
Yeah.
one of the things with Julius was attack space and train like you play like you train. You know, be patient, use your footwork, and I see him doing some stuff now. It just makes me so happy. And I see him in his 7 threes. I'm just like, this is insane. And he's an all-star. It's just like, I'm just so happy for him.
It was
I'm so happy for
interesting
him.
because Julius, the version the Knicks got last season is complete night and day from the
Yes.
version that they have now. And he said in his Players Tribune article that he wrote that he took it personal that he wasn't the Randall that the Knicks fans, the franchise was hoping for. And he was just happy to have the second opportunity to reintroduce himself, to give them a new first impression. Has that character always been part of Julius Randle, just striving constantly to being the best and then taking it personal when he isn't?
Yeah, I think Julius was what number pick was he? Like top five, right?
I believe he was 7. He was either 4
I
or
think
7.
7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
A really high pick. So a lot of pressure sometimes, and sometimes you got to get come into your own. So when Julius was dominated in high school, it wasn't demanded of him, to be fundamentally sound, right? So when he gets into the NBA, it's different. You got to actually win and understand how to manipulate five other people, five defenders and four offensive players, and how to win, right? So that just takes time. And even when he first got to the Knicks, he was still in the transition.
Hmm.
He was still in transition from being a better player. He wasn't there yet. He's still not there yet. He got so much upside.
Oh, so we're only beginning to see. Listen, I am the captain of the Julius Randle Express. I have been since day one as CP. I have been Julius Randle's biggest advocate. So, are you saying that we're only beginning to see signs of life of Julius Randle? That there's more to come?
Oh, there's so much more to come because
I'm
now that
excited.
because you got to think about it, like he's already physically ready. He's been physically ready, uh, mentally, um, from a standpoint of understanding how to win. That's just catching up. So now you're going to see a, it's going to be a lot of things that happen. You're going to see a better Julius, a winning Julius, and then you're going to see other players wanting to come to New York to play with Julius.
Nice.
And he's a pass guy. He passes the ball. Now he can shoot. I mean, why would you not want to play with a Julius
True.
Randle?
True story. Ash, before we get into Phil, let me just hit that reset. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for your squad. CP the Fanchise, Ashley Moss. We got Metta World Peace in the building. Throw a hashtag MWP in the chat to salute Meta. And we're going to take some calls from the fans as well. So make sure you guys call in too. The number is 657-383-1509. 657-383-1509. All right, Ash.
So the fans want me to ask. We have to ask if we're going to talk Julius Randle. We also have to talk RJ Barrett. I am also a big RJ fan. I call him the nine god. Are you at all surprised at? I think one of the things that I love so much about RJ, he has this ability to get out of his own way mentally. We saw it in the game in the overtime win that we just came off of. He did not have a good first half. He was just not the RJ that we're used to seeing. He didn't score until the last few seconds of the second quarter before halftime. And then he just turned on the Jets in the second
Yeah.
half and then in overtime. Is that an impressive character trait to have in such a young player? He's only 20 years old, to just not focus on what's going on in the game in totality, but just focus on how you can get better each and every play during that game.
Yeah, I mean, RJ was a superstar in college and high pick and learning the game. He had some really good games. I think RJ, he's like the opposite of Julius, right? He's not as physical as Julius when Julius came in, but in terms of the pace, his pace is amazing. He got a veteran pace. So with that type of pace, sometimes he might have to speed it up a notch, or he just might have to get more comfortable. Because he has good games and he has some games that's not great games, right? But his mental focus is there. He's reliable, and that's why the Knicks is playing well, because you have a guy who the Knicks, for the most part, almost building a franchise around, and he's reliable mentally.
And
So even if he's having a bad game, physically, or how it looks from the outside in, it might be a great game for him because maybe he screened every single time perfectly.
Yeah.
Maybe he boxed out. Maybe he passed to the open man. It's those type of things that it doesn't really show up in a box score. So you can't really measure the effect that he's having, and then also being a cheerleader. Encouraging your teammates. Like, so many things add up. When you're especially at that level.
And that's what Tibbs just said. He said, even when he has bad games, he still impacts the game in a variety of ways, whether that's passing, rebounding, being a good cheerleader, being a leader at 20 years old. And you said something very important, and that's the mental toughness. And that's what I see from RJ, even at a young 20 years old, and Julius in year two. Because, like we said, as you said, patience, right? The fans ran out of patience with Julius even last year, his first year with the team, because he struggled a lot under Fizdale. But I felt like that kind of made him stronger, toughened him up. And this year he's having an all-star season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, All Star season, and I think Fizdale. I'm not sure the ins and outs of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have a different coach now, and you know what, Julius is better this year. But so Fizdale, I think he tried hard. I don't know his style. I definitely wish I was head coach of the Knicks.
I mean, I know coaching is your passion as well. We're going to talk about X versus X in a bit. From a coaching standpoint, they're in the final stretch. They're trying to grind it out. They've lost a couple of tough games, bounced back and won with RJ Soroks against the Grizzlies in overtime. From a coaching standpoint, how would you get them through this tough stretch as they push for the playoffs?
I think it's what 30 teams in the NBA. Not everybody's the best. It's just that simple. So sometimes, as a fan, people are like, man, you're losing or you lost, but you're not. You're not the Nets. You're not the Lakers. You are who you are. So it is what it is. And at this point, I would just advise them to have a great time, play the best you can play, and that is it. Do not worry about anything else because if you're not one of the best teams, the numbers don't lie, man. The numbers don't. The numbers say you are who you are. So with that being said, enjoy it. Do as best as you can in your slot. And and if destiny says you're going to win a title, do it. If destiny says you're going to lose in the second round, it is what it is. Do your best and have a great time.
And you spoke about patience, which is something Knicks fans do not have a lot of, and you can understand why. But there's this, disconnect. Some fans want the Knicks to tank and try to get the best picks possible and worry about next season. And other Knicks fans like myself say, listen, we don't tank in New York. That's not part of our pedigree. What we do is we go out there and play. Do you think that it's better, even if it's a low seed and you get wiped out the first round of the playoffs? Do you think that experience, especially for a team with so many young players on it, is priceless and it just makes you hungrier to want to do better the following seasons? Or do you feel like, you can't try to get into the playoffs and jump the gun, especially when you're not fully ready? What is the better path to go?
No tanking. You don't need to tank. Now I'm not in the front office, but I'm just saying, build, win, and I mean this is New York City, so you can tank, and then you're gonna have a rookie who don't know what they're doing. Then you're gonna have to tank again.
Exactly.
And you're gonna be tanking all the time for the next 5 years, and then while the other team is building chemistry, you're trying to get players to come play on your team. But guess what? You're in New York City, and New York is a lot of pressure. So you have to, encourage veterans to come into a situation that they say, "Oh wow, I know New York. I know there's a lot of pressure in New York, but that's a really good team. I'm going to New York,
Yeah.
right?" And in New York, the Knicks they can pay anybody. So there's no real need to tank for being no real need to for the Knicks to tank.
And you speak about veterans, and we have a vet in Derrick Rose and also in Taj Gibson on the
Mhm.
court. Can you just speak about what that means, especially as a young player, having that presence of somebody who's been there before, who knows the ins and outs of the league? How priceless is that for a team that's trying to build and create a culture like the Knicks are?
I think it's great, and Derrick Rose is the ultimate. I'm so proud of him after his injuries, and he's right where he should be. He's an amazing player. And then when Taj has been a really amazing role model and a great player. He's been a really great player and an amazing role model. And when you have that type of cast, you want to build on that. You want Taj and Derek to feel like they might have a shot to get to the playoffs. And then you want the young guys seeing, when you smell blood, how you go after it, right? You don't want the young guys seeing a veteran, okay, we're tanking, and then a veteran just getting ready for vacation. because then it's gonna be in their mind to just get ready for vacation in April. This is always when we get ready for vacation.
Mm-hmm.
When I played, even if I didn't make the playoffs, I practiced until game seven or the last game in the finals. That's when I took my vacation after everybody else, and it's just trying to develop and I only got one ring, all that for one ring. That's not even, I don't even have two rings.
Hey, put in.
Hey, one's still
Yeah,
something.
you put in the work, man. You
So,
definitely put in the work.
not for
Salute,
me, but
salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for your squad. We got Metta World Peace live. Throw a hashtag MWP in the chat to salute Queensbridge Finest. If you're from Queensbridge, throw a hashtag Queensbridge in the chat
yeah.
as well. Let them know that you're in here. Metta, you spoke about the championship,
But hold on,
2010.
let's shout out Far Rock. I
Okay,
grew up
go
in
ahead. Go
Far
ahead with
Rock
your shout
too.
outs. Go ahead, bro.
Hamels, Far Rock,
Okay.
7115 Beach Channel. I grew up in Far Rock too, in the hood. Shout out there. Shout out to Ravenswood. Dave East, we've been representing, we're living in Ravenswood a little bit, chilling out there. Shout out to that hood. Astoria Projects. You already know. Shout out to AQ.
Braeswood.
Obviously, Queensbridge, huh? You said what?
Braeswood.
Ravenswood, AQ. Where else I've been at? Anywhere else? Any other hood I've been at? 119th and Second, the Piff Unit, all that. All right, cool.
No doubt, no doubt. And you got some people sending greetings from Germany as well, Meta. So we worldwide in the chat right now, man. Salute to everybody. We're seeing a couple Far Rockaways in the chat as well. So
Yes,
salute to
sir.
everybody out in Far Rock. On the championship 2010, you took the Celtics to 7 tough games in which you hit a pivotal shot late in game 7 that would ultimately win it for you. You spoke about in the beginning of this interview how you used to put in that work in Queensbridge outside on the courts. Was that a shot? Was that a moment that you practiced and envisioned when you were putting in work in your younger days?
Man, that was incredible. The crazy thing about that shot, I hit that same shot against Duke in the Garden to take it to
St.
overtime.
John's Duke matchups were classic at MSG, man.
Classic matchup. I hit that shot a couple times, in the wing, um, but it was always something about just hitting a big shot. And when I was in the finals, I knew we was up three, and a minute left, and I'm just like, just go for it, man. Take the shot. And at that time, and then it was really, it flowed well because Kobe just passed it, and I just jabbed and shot it, like didn't even think twice about it. And that's the work. When you put in the work, you should not be thinking twice about it. Even if that shot would have bricked over the rim, I don't know, man. What are you gonna do? A brick air ball. Sorry.
My bad.
I didn't mean to do it, but it did. It happened. But when you practice so much, if you practice to be successful, then more than likely you'll be successful. It was a simple shot, but it was the typical closeout as your man is closing out, and your opponent's momentum is coming towards you. You go towards your opponent, make him pause, pull back, and shoot. Hard. It's really hard to block. Um, Even when you take one dribble towards someone, once you see their back foot get off the ground and go, you just go. Once you see their back foot go off the ground and go back, you pull up. There's no way they can block it, right? So it's like those fundamentals. It was a real simple move, but executed well. I was taught that move by Chuck Person, by the way.
The rifleman Chuck Person. So salute to him. And based on your career arc, where you had started, not getting the shot at your hometown team, you go to Chicago, you go to Indiana, you have malice at the Palace, you request a trade to Sacramento. I mean, did you even envision that that day would happen, that you would actually have a chance to win a championship?
No, I thought it was over. Because I was supposed to. I mean, after the brawl, I met with R.I.P. Mr. Stern, and we didn't think my career was going to last any
Wow.
other year. He said, this is your last shot. I was on eggshells for a long time. I was on eggshells for
Yeah.
a long time. Um, and when you make mistakes, when you don't treat the basketball guards right, normally they don't treat you right. But I think I did treat the basketball guards right for the most part. I gave it my all. Um, I gave back to my community, although from a corporate standpoint, I was very detrimental. But from a community standpoint, I did show my face in my neighborhood a lot. So I guess that counts for something. I think the basketball gods did see that, and they put me an opportunity in 2010, and that was a blessing because I didn't think I deserved it. That's what the first thing I did was shout out the Pacers when I was on the podium because the only time LeBron didn't make a All Star game was when I made it. I was in Indiana. I was a hell of a player, and I wore
Yeah, he
number
had some good
23.
good seasons with Indiana, man.
Yeah.
It was
And I
just
mean, playing with one of the greatest, if not the greatest, in Kobe Bryant, that has to, just push you to even want to be greater, just being surrounded by that. Um,
I knew it was destiny. Absolutely, you're right. Actually, because playing with Kobe was amazing, and I just played against Kobe the prior season, the previous season, and I was going to work. So I always wanted to be great. But then you playing with Kobe, you playing with Powell, a young Andrew Bynum, who he would have been great. Lamar Odom, who's arguably great. All these great people around you. You just want to show up, right? So it's just a blessing. And then, actually, the Cavs was number one that year, so they lost to Boston. So that could have been a great finals with LeBron
yeah.
versus Kobe, and
Yeah.
then Meta in his prime. That would have been nice,
You checking Bron. Well, what's your
That
favorite
would,
Kobe story?
huh?
What's your favorite Kobe story?
I mean, my favorite Kobe story probably. See, the thing with Kobe was with me and Kobe personally. I caught him in 2009, 10 when he was focused, so wasn't a lot of fun things going on. It work. Um, then 2011, 2010, 2011, that was a really serious season. Like it was work. Um, not much playing around. So Kobe up in the morning, 5:30, working, just going to work. You know, and but then towards the end of the career, get some dinner, get some drinks. That was fun. I'm so happy we had a chance to do that because the only time I got dinner and drinks with Kobe was like towards the end of his season, like
Yeah.
his last season, literally. Because me and Kobe very similar. Like we didn't do much. We didn't hit each other up. Nothing. We just come to the gym. I want to go at him. He want to go at everybody. You know what I'm saying? And that was it. You know what I'm saying? With work, and I had my serious mug on. He had his serious mug on. And we was on the same team a lot, but it was very serious. Like and I missed that. And we had a lot of conversations where we just understood each other.
Mutual understanding.
yeah.
Mutual understanding. Like let's go to work. And actually everybody was like that, but I had a different connection, but that's Kobe Bryant, right? So when you're next to Kobe every day, it's just a different thought going through your head. This guy is great. This guy is just great. We miss him a lot.
Yeah,
For sure.
definitely. Rest in
Rest in
peace,
peace to
Mamba.
Kobe.
Never, there will never be
Yeah.
another. That's for sure. Well, you can't talk about greatness in the Lakers without talking about Phil Jackson. And obviously, Phil Jackson has had a lot of success in coaching. He did it with the Bulls, coaching the great Michael Jordan. Then he did it with the Lakers, with the great Kobe Bryant, and all of you guys on that team. Then he goes to New York, and Knicks fans are elated. This is supposed to be the savior, the messiah. He is going to bring us back to relevancy and make us a championship team. Obviously, he wasn't coaching. He said his health would not allow him to do so, but you still had him in the building, and that was enough for Knicks fans. It did not turn out the way that we had anticipated. Obviously, the Porzingis situation also did not work out. Were you surprised at all? And then also we talk about the Melo situation, but were you surprised at all about his time in New York and how it ended the way that it did?
Um, I was happy. The last two titles we got in New York City was with Phil Jackson. So that was 71 and 73.
7-3, yeah. Yeah.
So that was the last two titles, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you, Phil, and
Yeah.
Frazier. Thank you to those guys. And but with that being said, the triangle takes about 2 years. He, if it was me, I would have done the triangle and I would have innovated. I'm definitely going to run the triangle when I get my job. So if any teams out there expecting anything different, don't hire me because that triangle is going to work. But you gotta use pieces of the triangle. You can't use the full triangle at all times. And you gotta start it high. For any coach that wants to do the triangle, it works. It just you have to run pieces of it. Sometimes you got to move that postman out of the post, put that postman in a different spot, put him on the elbow, or put him on the top where the Spurs and the Warriors put him.
Yeah.
And get into it, and take the first option versus just getting into the triangle. The triangle was introduced, and we just want to get into it. The Knicks fans want to see it. Well, you might see it. Maybe you won't see it today. It just depends on the flow of the game. So, but the triangle everyone uses the triangle.
Yeah.
They use the angles, they use the cuts, they use the positioning, the spacing. A lot of these coaches came up under Phil Jackson winning titles. So you
Do
got to
you,
believe they learned something from him.
do you think that coaches should adjust their playing style? Obviously, as a coach, you have proven offenses that work, you have proven defenses that work. And sometimes, if it's not broken, don't fix it. That's how I feel. But then, do you think that also you have to take into account that sometimes you have players like Melo, like Porzingis, like other guys who just cannot flourish in the type of game plan that has proven to work with other teams? Do you think that coaches should be a little bit more lenient in adjusting their playing style based on the players that they have in their hands?
Well, you have to. You have to if you want to win. So for the triangle, for example, you got Porzingis. Well, Porzingis likes to come down and shoot sometimes, or he might want to set a screen and roll, and or catch it on the block. So, you have to eliminate some parts of your scheme. Some parts of your beliefs might have to be eliminated, or start somewhere else, and you could always get back to one of those schemes that you feel is best for the team, because the triangle is best for the team, right? So if you have two or three players that want something different, well, you go that's where you go and practice, and you figure out what's going to work, for these players, and then you just stick with it. You can't try to fit a circle into a square,
Yeah.
right? So that's where you got to make some adjustments, but that you can easily do that with the triangle.
Yeah. And why do you think that it's easier for some coaches? You look at Coach Spo down in Miami, who I'm a big fan of. You look at Coach Pop. They are excellent at making adjustments, going into a game with a game plan. It's not working. Let's adjust. And then you look at
Mhm.
Coach Tibbs, who has been criticized for being stubborn in a sense that he likes to go in with a game plan and he wants that game plan to work despite what's unfolding on the court in front of him. Why do you think that some coaches have an easier time making adjustments than others?
Well, sometimes as a coach, you want to make an adjustment, but sometimes you don't have to make adjustments. Sometimes as well as a lot of things and variables that could weigh in on this. One could be you want to keep your players out there and continue to develop them. So who cares what the other team is doing for the future? But then the other is if the other team goes small, why do I have to go small?
Mm.
I don't have to, right? Especially if you're having a good season and if you're hitting your ceiling, then you can make an adjustment that can send you backwards. Versus where the Knicks fans might want to see you win a game, but you're not going to win that game anyway. you know. So he's taking all that into consideration. If he feels like that's his climax, then why change? Just keep improving. And it's hard to see that as a fan because you want to win every single game, and I get it. But I think it's hard to see because I'm not sitting in his seat, but I know me personally, I'm going to play bigs. I'm going after 7 foot, 6'10", 6'11". I want four of those big guys on my team, and I'm going big. And then we're going to have the standard small forward. I'm not playing small ball. I'm playing standard basketball, and I'm not going to adjust if a team is small. No way in the world. I love standard basketball. So, but in this day and age, you see everybody going small with the 6'9" center. You know, and then if the other team brings in a 6'6" center, then the other team subs in a 6'6" center. It's just like this doesn't really make sense to me. So with Coach Tibbs, it's just hard to say. But if I was in his shoes, I got a good idea on probably why he's not adjusting.
Coach Metta throwing his philosophy out there for people in the chat. You better be listening, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for your squad. CP Ashley Moss, special guest Metta World Peace in the building, live and direct. Throw a hashtag NWP in the chat to salute Metta. We're going to take a couple calls in a second. Metta, you know, as we ran through the resume earlier, you know, championship, all-star, defensive player of the year, all-NBA, multiple-time all-defense. Any regrets? Any outside of you know the Knicks situation? Any other regrets in your career that you wish you could have gotten over?
I mean, the biggest one I have is like when that incident with James Harden. Like that one is like one I regret out of more than anything, honestly, because it wasn't like I meant to hit James. It was like somebody touched me, and I was like, get the hell off me. But you know how it played out was like not something I was proud of. If I could take back anything, it would probably be that and only that. Only because, like, you know, at that point, I was making so much progress. You know, I was making so much progress with being emotionally stable on the court. But other than that, nah, everything else is like, it is what it is.
And did you spoke to James after that, right? Are y'all good on that situation?
We actually played ball in the summertime. We didn't talk about that incident though. You know, we didn't talk about, but he actually invited me to play. Like I was just shooting on UCLA one, and I was shooting on one side of the court, just getting some shots up. And he was with his clique. He invited me to play open run. He was
That's
like,
dope.
"Come and play." I was like, "Oh, that's dope." I really like James. You know, I really like James. You know, yeah, I didn't even realize that was James behind me.
Yeah, so unfortunate.
It was very unfortunate. It was very
Yeah.
unfortunate. I'm happy that he's okay.
And James is now a member of the Nets, Ash, as we know.
Yeah.
You know,
So
they got a big
James
3
Harden.
ring chasers. But go ahead, Ash.
James Harden, he got out of Houston and now he's where he wants to be, reunited with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn. And you look across the league and there is this constant conversation on stacking teams. And I feel like it has gotten a lot more prevalent than it has ever before. I look at teams, you know, in the Kobe Bryant era. Yes, you had teams with superstars on it, but you also had supporting players who necessarily didn't have, you know, the bright lights on them, and it was a team in the true sense.
Everybody
Now
wasn't
it's a
trying
bunch
to
of
team up.
well, now it's a bunch of superstars joining forces in the hopes of getting a championship. How do you feel about the concept of stacking teams? Is it just the way that modern basketball looks now, or is it detrimental to what a championship truly means in the sense of the word?
Everybody's done it. Everybody's done it. It's just that what happens is the other fans hate on a team. So if the Nets stack their team, then you got 29 other teams fans saying this is BS. I can't believe you stacked it. But when the Celtics stacked it with Bird, Parrish, McHale, we don't talk about that. When the Bulls stacked it with Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, you know, Horace Grant, who else? Tony Kukoc, who was an all-star overseas.
Kukoc.
He had 60 points overseas. When we stacked it with Powell, Kobe, Lamar Odom, and the reason it don't look as stacked because we played a role.
Yeah.
Metta World Peace, defensive player of the year. You know, multi-defensive player. We stacked we stacked the table. We stacked the table. And the only ones that didn't, the only true champ, and this is no disrespect to anyone, the only true championships I really see over the last couple years, the Detroit Pistons won.
Big time.
That was a real
Big time.
championship. That team, because that team was like, nobody was superstars.
Yeah.
They became superstars. The first Golden State Warrior team, even though they was all first picks, but that team became superstars.
Yeah.
They were not superstars, right? Even though Curry's amazing, but they just became.
They built that team up.
Yeah.
Do you think though that when LeBron decided to take his talents to South Beach, that it just completely elevated what a super team looks like? And do you think there should be limits to how many all-stars, how many superstars can be on one team? Because you look at the Nets last night. Kevin Durant was on the court. Obviously, Kyrie got ejected. They played a Lakers team without LeBron and Anthony Davis and still lost. So that also poses the question, can you just throw chemistry together and hope that it works?
Well, that game was interesting because everybody didn't play. But in terms of super team, I love it because it eliminates politics. A lot of times in the NBA, people don't get picked because they don't have the right agent, or they might not have a relationship. So when you stack a super team, you need good players. That's it. And if you don't, if you are bringing in your people and they're not like good players, then we have an issue. You know what I mean? So I like super teams because it forces the other organizations to pick the best player and do the right thing. Pick whoever deserves that spot. So I keep encouraging super teams, and super teams help the other players, help them get better. You have, let's just say, Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins got to go up against the Lakers. Like, do you want to win? Right? If you do, you got to go through the Lakers. You got to go through the Nets. And it ups the level of everything. So I'm a big fan of super teams. I also respect like Damian Lillard. Like Damian Lillard. So
Yeah.
Dame loyal, man. He's loyal.
But do you think though players like that get a bad rep? Because you look at Bradley Beal, you look at Russell Westbrook, Stephen A. Smith had a lot to say about him. You have guys who are staying loyal to their franchises and these smaller markets, if you will. They're not jumping ship in hopes of getting an easy ring. Not that any rings are easy, but put that in quotations. So do you think that you can't play, it's either one side or the other. You can't play the middle. Either you respect guys for staying true, or you don't, make fun of them or chastise them rather for trying to win a ring.
Well, I think like in some situations, if you're, let's say it's just 30 max contracts going out a year or whatever the case may be. If you're LeBron James, not probably not now, but in his prime, every team is waiting for you to get that max contract. So some of these max contract players don't really have a lot of max teams to go to, right? So they're gonna be where they at. Right, they're gonna get their 300 million.
Take that back.
The two options that they have to get 300 million, versus like Kevin Durant, but right now would be Tatum. He might have 10 options to get 300 million. So you can't really, I don't really see it as guys staying loyal to a team. I see it as, you was offered, you got 300 million. So, you know what I'm saying? What else you gonna do?
True. True
You know what I'm
story.
saying? Now you can leave, but why would you leave when someone just gave you 300 million?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, some of these small markets, people just don't want to go. They rather come to LA or the palm trees, or they rather be in Miami. You're somewhere else. So it's like a lot of variables. It's like no perfect situation. I mean, yeah, we would love to see a super team in Portland, a super team in Indiana, or a super team like in New Orleans or Utah, but it's hard to do that in these cities.
Yeah.
Easier to do it in Houston or the other cities.
Well, give credit to the Jazz, man. Seems like they're doing it right now. Number 1 seed in the West.
And
Building
that's
it
a
through
real
the draft.
that's a team that those type of teams I love. I love the Jazz because like out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's not a super team.
Big time, big time, big
But a
time.
very good team.
Yeah, man. So let's take some calls from the fans. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for your squad. We got Metta World Peace live and direct. Throw a hashtag NWP in the chat to salute Metta. All right, first caller up, we're going to go with Angel from Philly. Angel, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, CP? How y'all guys doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
Hey,
I'm doing good. Hey, Metta World Peace, man. I just want to say it's an honor, man. I'm so happy that you're supporting the Knicks, man. So I definitely got to show you love. So definitely hit that thumbs up for y'all boys, y'all. But listen, I got 2 questions, man. I just want to know. Granted that a lot of players don't get to win a championship, but what was it like to be on that floor with Kobe for Game 7? And what went through your mind when you actually won? Because obviously you played a big part of that team as well. So what was it like?
just being on the floor for Game 7 was amazing. I mean, it was an experience. It was a dream. It was I wasn't used to it. Something I always wanted, and being there with Kobe was amazing. I don't see it like that because I was in the game and I was like super focused and like in killer mode. But when I look at it from the outside in, it was like historic. Like people were saying this is history. I ain't look at it like that. I looked at it as I got to get this ring or I'm nothing. you know. And then playing with Kobe, I'm just like his sidekick. Like I'm just focused in on okay, what does Kobe Bryant want me to do? I'm not focused on his aura, with the exception of Game Five when he had 25 straight points from the third to the fourth. He had all of our points. Nobody scored but Kobe. 25,
25.
and I was like, wow, like that was the first moment where I was like looking at him. I was like, does he have wings? Like I'm looking at his feet. Is he hovering? I was like, I mean, this is unbelievable. Like, how do you have all the points for us? Thank you. That's
That
crazy,
Mamba
man.
mentality was
Black
different.
Black Mamba was a beast, boy. Black Mamba was a beast. All right, next call up, we got Max from Arkansas in the building. Max, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, CP?
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, man, salute to Metta World Peace, man. It is an honor that you're here with us, gracing your presence. You know, you could be doing anything else in the world, and you here with us, especially this Knicks fandom you
Minor,
got
thank
going
you.
on over there. Um, you're welcome, man. I wanted to ask you, like CP and Ash, they hit the question I wanted to ask, so I kind of like switched up. I want to ask like a really good question. I wanted to see like to pick your brain on this. Like because like I'm looking at the college kids now that's coming into the league, and a lot of them, are dealing with the same thing you was dealing with when you was coming out of the city. And I want to see I want to ask what advice can you give them as far as dealing with all the hardship and coming out of a bad environment.
I would say it's a lot of different like variables. Obviously everybody's so different, and I always like to relate to that player like myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it that they want you to come up in here, be professional, and people like I got but people say coaches say I got a lot of great guys on my team. Man, I know ballers that wasn't great guys, man. I played with ballers that were just like you would think them as gangster and not great, and that's who I learned the game from, and I love them. You know what I'm saying? So that's who I relate to. Obviously, I have like a crossover brand. I really like people and all people. But from that standpoint, from a basketball player trying to make it, like you don't. It's like when DMX situation. Like you need to get out the streets, and basketball is an opportunity where you don't have to sell drugs. You don't have to rob and steal to eat. So I know people are currently growing up like that, like how I did. And right before I went to college at St. John's, my brother was 10 years in jail for drug trafficking. Like, cool, I needed him by me. So then I had to go with other hustlers and people in the neighborhood to be by me. You understand? So with that being said, then you learn, you pick up different things. So with that being said, when you have the opportunity to make it, now I'm gonna tell you the reality of the situation. When you have an opportunity to make it, take advantage of it. When you make it, it's not that you change, you made it.
Mm.
When I made it, I didn't know I made it. I was still in the hood doing a lot of stuff I shouldn't have been doing. It took me a while to adjust. You know what I'm saying? So when you make it, it's like you made it, like you're blessed. And it's hard to see that you're blessed. You feel like I made it and I still gotta grind, I still gotta be grinding, depending on who you are. It's like chill out, take your family out to dinner, call your moms, like, yo, you made it. Everything good. You know, but it's hard. It's easier to say because I'm 41.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Who
saying? So it's easier to say.
who were some of your mentors or those people that helped you, get through that, and help you adjust to that process?
It's mistakes. Phil, mistakes help me adjust. Just making mistakes. That's it. And yeah, I did have mentors. Like it was employers, but when they were helping me, I wasn't really listening. So not listening caused more mistakes, and then the mistakes is like, okay, how many more mistakes do you want to make? Like, get it together, buddy. Um, and with that, I started to really tap into what I wanted to be as a child. I had to really dig deep. Like, who were you as a child when you were 6? Remember that time, Ron? Oh yeah, I do remember. I like love everything. I wanted to be a
Yeah.
math major, architect major. Like all right, cool, get back to that, get back to that, get back to that, you know. And it took me a while, but mostly mistakes,
Experience is the
which
best teacher.
yeah,
That's
it's
right.
not the greatest teacher, but it's the best teacher.
Interesting, interesting. All right, last caller. We're gonna go to the West Coast. My guy Pal out in L.A. Pal, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. What's good, CP, Ash, Metta World Peace, man. Thanks for taking the time to answer our questions here as fans. And I was one of those guys that, I emigrated here. I immigrated to New York in like '98, and I've been watching the Knicks like through Betamax's VHS recordings of my uncle came. So I was really excited, and I was one of those dudes that really wanted you to be a Knick man. So I just wanted to say, um, that's something I look forward to. But you weren't really that far away from the city because I want to talk to you a little bit about 2002 EBC Finals between Def Jam and Rough Riders. We all were like down at the halftime, but y'all still took it. It was you, whole lot of games, Starberry, Zach, Prime Objective. You know, BD and Jo was there. You know, he was against Steve Burt, a.k.a. All Day and his son. You know, Skip to my Luke. Can you just talk a little bit about that, man? Because that to me was like the purest form of hoop. You know, can you just talk a little bit about the energy in the city at that time and what it was like competing and winning the championship? You know, but yeah, man, thanks for taking our call, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love New York so much. I got my name, True Warrior. I
True
got that name
warrior.
from uptown, from the Rucker. Um, but Kingdom, you know, and I feel about Kingdom when Grant's Tomb play on Wednesdays, 2,000, 3,000 people out. I played in Kingdom. Um, that Rucker wasn't the only one, but Rucker was amazing. EBC was amazing. And it was a different energy. We caught it at the tail end. At the tail end,
Yeah,
you still had people in the trees. We still had
yeah.
people on the bridge. Still had people on top of the buildings across the street. And that was a golden era. And literally, it just like died down. Once corporate got involved, it was like, oh. Once corporate got involved, they literally killed the thing. How do you how do you how do you do that?
So
But yeah,
So was it the NBA that's stopping the players from playing on the blacktop? Because even like I used to go up to Dykeman recently. You know, Kemba played a little bit here and there. Jr. has played a little bit, but as you said, nowhere near what EBC was when Greg Marius was running it. Is it the league
Yeah.
or is it the players decided not to?
I don't honestly I don't really know. It's just like they just stopped playing. It's not even the players because you know the EBC never depended on NBA players. Who could
Yeah.
care about him? It was New York City streetball players,
Mm-hmm.
and the New York City streetball players were the stars. Ali Mo, Booger Smith, you know, A Butter, Terminator, the Escalator. Like these were the stars. It wasn't the
Escalade. Yeah, Mark
NBA players.
Jackson, brother. Escalade.
Escalade, Predator,
Mm-hmm.
Predator. You know, these were guys that were superstars, and I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they just destroyed it. And then and these were guys that helped me get better. Cause I was playing against these guys since I was 15, 16 years old playing in the NBC. You know, so it was a golden era of New York City basketball. I think
That it was.
gentrification had a lot to do with it. You said what, Ash?
That it was.
It
Golden
was.
era. Yeah.
Oh, when gentrification came, I remember one time I was in the city and I saw them putting sidewalks in the street. And I'm like, oh boy, this is Europe coming to America. It's over for us. I remember saying that. I'm sorry, Europe. I'm sorry, Europe. I was like, I remember. I said, it's over. And literally, when they started to do that, and then gentrification, they started to tell people in these neighborhoods, turn the music down.
Mm.
How you gonna tell us because you're rich and you move in our neighborhoods to turn the music down and call the police and people getting arrested? So gentrification like killed street ball single-handedly. Killed street ball. How you gonna tell us we can't play 145th Tri-State Classic? I played in there too, and they took the music. Can't play music in New York City. That's how when people say like this is on deeper level with Knick fans, especially if you ain't from the hood. But that's why when they say it's my hood, it's not your hood. You might be the bully, but it's not your hood.
Yeah.
Turn the music up. I bet police come.
Put it to the
This is
test.
their hood.
Put
This is
it to
their
the
hood. And
test, man.
when we think it's ours, and it's like, you know, we come here and we live here, we migrate here, whether you're Latino or Black, I'm speaking from a black perspective. We come here from Africa off that boat. It's not your hood. It's not our hood. They told us to turn the music down, and if we turn it up, we gonna get arrested. You know, people don't understand that a basketball player will be have handcuffs, and
That's
they did that because a lot of our culture, and this is I don't mean to get political, but they find ways to dismantle the culture. And basketball was a huge part of what we do. Because basketball, we go home, we get out the house. You might have domestic violence in your house, which I had. I need to get out. I need to go uptown. I need to go to Brooklyn and play basketball just to escape.
Yeah.
And
what
they say no, you can't play music, you can't play basketball. The parks is closed at 9 p.m. because we're afraid that someone's going to shoot. Well, let them shoot, man. I'm trying to play basketball. I don't really care. I don't really care. Don't shut the park. Don't put the 9 o'clock sign. And when you
Yeah.
put the 9 p.m. sign, what happens? Go out at 10 o'clock if you want. You don't get arrested. And you're not even a dealer. You're not even a hustler. You just want to play basketball. You understand? So on a deeper level, that's why I always tell people it's more personal. There's a lot of things personal when you talk about like basketball. Me, it's all personal.
what
Yeah.
that's
All
a perfect
personal.
segue because as you talk about preserving the game and helping people through the game and preaching ownership, you have X versus X Sports. So tell the people about X versus X Sports and how they could get involved.
Yeah, X versus X sports, but it was built from frustration, honestly. I remember my last couple of years in the league, I was playing, I was coaching, I was like mentoring Julius and a lot of guys. I still wanted to play and I wanted to do 20 years and it was over. My career was over, 18 years in the NBA. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to travel the world and play basketball. So I developed the app. My son, Ron Artest, was a basketball scholarship basketball scholarship at UC Irvine. He's also a computer science developer, also develops computers and video games. Um, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to develop an app and travel to Croatia. I always wanted to play in Croatia, Serbia, and different parts of Europe. And then I would just invite people to come play me in games. And then there's a lot of different technical things was going on, so I kind of pushed back. Then the Lakers called me back for 2 more years. So then I put this project on a hold. So then when I officially retired, then the next year I went to go coach. I was still doing the project and coaching the G League. And then I had to stop coaching G League because when you're doing tech, it literally takes all your time. And I sacrificed 3 years of my personal business for something I love, which is the NBA, which I'm very grateful for. So then I got back to it. When you look at it now, xversusxsports.com, you can download the app, set up games, and when you set up games, invite your friends to play, follow the process, input the score, and then you get on the leaderboard. And then when you get on the leaderboard, we look at that and we invite you to games. So it's not only for pros. We have co-ed basketball. We do a lot of co-ed. We do a lot of women's basketball, and we do men's basketball, and all equally. And I'm proud to say that we really focus on women's basketball, even though not all the time women's basketball is not always going to bring in the most sales, but it depends on how you market it and how you attack it. It can be very fun and successful. So X vs. X Sports is a platform where you just come on, sign up, create a game or join a game, finish the game, input the score, and then you just become on the leaderboard. Now, if you're from New York and you go to Miami and play a game, you just keep tagging on your stats.
Nice.
You can literally do it anywhere in America. So you will have a professional experience on our app. That's literally what it is, for recreational players to have that professional experience. And we're going to continue to build on the app, and we're going to continue to do a lot of fun things. So far, you never know who's going to show up. We're in LA right now, so if you're in New York, use it. But so far, we had Ryan Garcia came to a game, the boxer, Chris Staples. We had Max is Nice. We had Rome Flynn, the actor, comes alive. You just never know who's going to come to play.
And former Chris Copeland, you and Copeland is out
Chris
there balling out there.
Copeland,
Yeah,
That's dope.
Mamadou. It's been fun. That's it. It's just basketball, man. There's nothing else to
that's
it.
dope. And
Is there an age limit on it? Can you go ahead and do it if you're a young basketball player, maybe like a young teen in middle school, or even like the AAU kids who want to go ahead and I know kids out these days don't like to go outside and play. They're too busy making
Right.
TikToks. But for the group that does like to go out and
Yeah.
still play, is there an age limit to that?
It's perfect for that group because that group, when you come onto our app and you play, you're playing against men or even older women. Our co-ed games are amazing for a young 11-year-old boy to play in our co-ed games. You're going to play against a girl who is nice. So you're going to get better. So this is perfect for any child that want to play ball. Definitely sign up to the app and just go find games to play. If you can't find a game, create a game. Remember, this is community building. This is trust. This is relationship. This is loyalty. So some people get on the app and they think they're going to just find a game. It's not that easy because people don't know you. So you got to build your trust. You got to post videos on your profile. You gotta, post photos. Who are you? Some people come on the app, they don't post a photo, and they're like, I want to play. I'm like, nobody even know who you are, and they're not gonna pick you to play a game. They don't know who you are. So it's very engaging, but it's strictly for basketball. Strictly for basketball.
Dope.
And without giving too much away or on what your future plans are, is there any chance we get an X versus X league that is like across the country, maybe that fans can attend, like a ticketed
Yes.
type of thing, in the off
Yes.
season perhaps?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh, that should be fun.
And it is happening. That we're probably about 6 weeks away from launching our first couple of leagues. I'm so excited about
Ooh.
it. And I've been working so hard on this, but it's a whole nother story. It's a whole nother story on this is a tech company and events company, development, developers, designing, UX, UI, sponsorship, PR, everything. It's just like I'm the CEO, raising money, raised a couple of dollars for it, for the company. Now we're going out to our A round. Luckily, I have my son because my 20-year-old son is a computer science developer and he's an investor. So he's been helping out a lot. But it's a great group. LA Times invested in the company.
Nice.
Then the chairman of Wix, the website company, invested in the company. It's been really hard because being like Metta World Peace, the defender, the flagrant fouler, I don't get all the companies wanting to invest in me. So I got to people think it's easy, but it's actually harder because we're trying to really build this into a real tech company. And we're not trying to give up power to anyone because we also want to show that minorities can run businesses from the hood.
And the Boost Mobile relationship was recent, right? I think
Yeah.
Joanne was telling me that. Okay.
Yeah, we just recently had Boost Mobile sponsorship, which is really hard to get consistent sponsorship, and actually drive value to the sponsors. How do you get sponsorship and add value? And I think our company does add value to the sponsors, and that's why you'll probably see more. We had the Motorola partnership also, so it's been really cool, just being able to stay in this lane. And this lane is a big lane. You see, I'm probably one of the only minorities that's actually CEO leading a company like this. But over time, just raised 50 million. You see Ball is Life doing it big. I love these companies. And you see companies like DraftKings, everybody's in this sports space. So I really want to enter into this space and get more professional athletes entering into this space. It's a big opportunity. But I think recreational sports is a big future in recreational sports, and it's a big opportunity for recreational players to have a pro experience. So we're not moving as fast as we would like, but definitely come on to the app because the more people that come on, the better for us.
Dope. And any way Knicks Fan TV can get involved and help, man, we definitely down to do that. But you people in the chat heard them. Download the X versus X Sports app. Make sure you fill out your profile in full detail. And, we're getting into the spring, summertime. The courts are opening back up. So get out there, fill out your profile, throw your stats in there truthfully, throw your points in there.
No shaving and no gassing. I know how you guys like to
gassing.
do.
And let's do it as a community, man. Because as you said, man, I think it is very important, especially for Black entrepreneurs entering the startup space. We don't get access to a lot of capital, especially in the fields that we over-index and that we make up, the culture. And so I think that's very important. And as you said, a new lane for you, a new challenge for you, but something that you're doing with your son. So as a family, building that up from a startup perspective, I think that's dope, man. So I wish you a lot of luck on that.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. I really
Yeah, man.
always like to be a part of the Knicks family.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Last question for you. Based on your illustrious career, how do you want to be remembered? For the kid that jumps on YouTube and Google's Metta World Peace or searches Metta World Peace, what's the impression that you want that kid to have? What's the legacy of Metta World Peace?
I mean, for me, I'm fine with delete. I'm fine with not being remembered. But I add a lot of value and give a lot of. I'm doing a lot of different things now. I'm hoping that I'm planting seeds in different kids' mind and things that we're doing, and that's it. I don't need any credit. I literally don't care about being remembered. Um, I care that my friends are not being locked up anymore um, for weed. Still in prison. Different things. A lot of my friends are locked up. So that's what I really care about. Um, Back in the days, you get locked up for weed, and then you miss 2 weeks of school. You're 16, you fall behind. How are you gonna make it up if, if you don't have a tutor? Then you get left back. When you're uneducated, you're more likely to go to jail or enter a juvenile delinquent facility. So these are my friends. So I literally don't care if people remember me for playing defense or hitting a shot. Delete all that. I really care that our people in my hoods, um, all the future rappers and all that stuff, that they have opportunity to raise a family, and understand how to treat their partners and treat their women, and also understand how to raise their children for them, not for me. So literally, I can give two rats butts on what people think about me when I'm not here.
That's real, man. Very, very well said. Well, we definitely appreciate all the time, as we said. Continued success, and hopefully we could do this again, man. Metta World Peace. Ladies and
Thanks for
gentlemen,
having
hit
me.
that thumbs up again for your squad, and throw a hashtag Metta World Peace in the chat. Metta, thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Knicks TV. Thank you. Knicks Fan TV.